Hi everyone. Today we will be talking about ELL Strategy 24 and 36. I'm Xochilt Ponce.
And I'm Tara Conolly.
So our first strategy that we will be learning about is Strategy 24. This is about cognate strategies. What are cognate strategies? Well, first, let's get into what a cognate is. A cognate is when a word in two languages shares similar meanings, spelling, and pronunciation. The languages that have the most cognates with one another are Spanish and English. About 30 to 40% of all the words in the English language have a related word in Spanish. Having cognate awareness is when students are able to enable the use of words in their home language to help understand words in English. Having cognate studies in the classroom are extremely beneficial with supporting cognate transfer in English learners. Now, how can cognate strategies be implemented into the classroom? The first step is to be able to identify the cognates. Making sure the students understand what cognates are and how to identify them is key. The second step is to provide instruction on what the cognates mean. The third step is to focus on the spelling differences between the two languages. The fourth step is to post cognates as they are discovered. An example is a cognate chart works great as a reference for the students. The fifth step is to observe the students' progress and keep documentation of it to understand if they need further assistance. The sixth step is to ask students what the meaning of the cognates you are currently studying are. The final step is to evaluate yourself, the teacher, on how to improve your cognate strategies gradually.
Our next strategy is strategy 36 on culture studies. So what are culture studies? Strategy 36 reviews culture studies and the integration of cultural awareness and understanding in the classroom to improve comprehension, enhance learning environments, and increase and maintain student engagement. Culture studies are studies in which students research and share information about their own cultural history. Strategy 36 emphasizes the importance of cultural awareness and the significance of acknowledging and respecting the diverse cultural backgrounds of students. Understanding students' cultures helps create a supportive and inclusive learning environment. Culture studies benefit students as incorporating them in the classroom helps English language learner students feel valued and understood. It also promotes cross-cultural understanding among all students, helping identify cultural similarities and learning more about their peers. It also creates a further appreciation of values, customs, and contributions from various cultures. Cultures can also vary between the ages of the students. So how can culture studies be implemented? Some strategies for incorporating culture include encouraging students to share aspects of their own cultures, including traditions, holidays, and daily practices. This fosters a sense of pride and belonging among students. It can be something as simple as asking your students what they did over a break if you know that there were any holidays, and opening a discussion on various holidays throughout the year. You can also use literature from various cultures in your curriculum to broaden students' perspectives and appreciation for diversity. Another way to incorporate culture includes designing activities that allow students to explore and present their cultural heritage, such as family timelines, cultural fairs, presentations, and art projects. It is important to find an age-appropriate project and to use existing curriculum and standards to integrate culture studies into existing material. It is also important that students understand the definition of culture. You should set up goals and parameters to identify the purpose of the lesson and how the activity should be completed. Teachers are encouraged to be culturally responsive and continuously educate themselves about the cultures of their students. This includes being aware of cultural differences in communication styles, learning preferences, and behavioral norms in order to best support their students.
So, hello, my first graders. Today we will learn about what cognates are and talk about our culture. Our standard is understand how events of the past affect students' lives and communities. Now let's read our objective together as a class. I will be able to identify cognates
And
and analyze how to recognize cultural influences in my own community. Today, we will be having a story time. But before we read our story, I want you to think about the question, what is a culture? What comes to mind when you think about the different cultures of the world? Keep these questions in mind while we read our story, One Classroom, Many Cultures, by the author Elizabeth Massey.
Today's read aloud is titled One Classroom, Many Cultures, written by Elizabeth Massey, illustrated by Jill Dubbin. The United States is a nation of many people. Some of them may have families that have lived here for hundreds of years. Some of them may have families that moved here from other countries not long ago. These people live in the same neighborhoods. The parents work together. The children go to school together. Let's meet the students in Mr. Tucker's first grade class. They have things in common. They study reading. They study math. They paint pictures and play games. Many of them are the same age. When something funny happens, they laugh. The students are also different in some ways. Some have blonde hair. Others have black or red hair. Some are tall. Others are short. Their families have come from different places with different cultures. Let's meet.
All right, so now we will introduce what a cognate is. A cognate is when a word in two languages shares a similar meaning, spelling, and pronunciation. Now, what does this look like? Can someone read our examples of cognates from our slide?
memory, memoria, problem, problema, galaxy, galaxia. Sorry
Perfect.
about my pronunciation.
Perfect. Thank you. A cognate is able to help us identify and understand words in different languages. Let's get into our first activity of the day. So our first activity today will be to match the cognate to one another. On our slide, you see the worksheet that you will find on your desk. I will give you 5 minutes to complete the worksheet. Can someone read the directions for me?
Cognate word matching. Can you identify the cognates that match each other? Draw a line to the words that go together.
Awesome, thank you. Make sure to get as much done as you can. We will go over the answers at the end of the day.
Our next lesson is on culture. So what is culture? Culture is like a big box of crayons that everyone uses to make their life colorful and fun. It includes the way we celebrate holidays, the foods we eat, the songs we sing, the games we play, and the clothes that we wear. It also includes the stories we tell and the way we show respect and love to each other. Just like how every crayon is a different color, every person's culture is unique and special, and it's what makes our world such an interesting and wonderful place. So culture is how groups of people live their lives. It is certain beliefs and behaviors that a group of people practice. Does anyone volunteer to read our categories that can often define culture?
I can.
Thank
Food,
you.
religion, holidays, music, games, clothes.
Thank you. So next we are going to talk about our own culture. We are going to go through a list of some questions, and I want you to think about your culture and your answers to each of these questions. I will provide an example of my own culture to show you what your answers could look like. So our first question is, where is your family from? My family is from England. What do you know about your family history? I know that I have people in my family or ancestors from my family that immigrated to England from Italy and Ireland. What food do you eat? I eat a lot of American style food, but also eat food from different cultures such as Japanese, Chinese, Mexican, Italian. What holidays do you celebrate? I celebrate Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, Valentine's Day, and St. Patrick's Day. Where do you live? I live in the United States. What language do you speak? I speak English. And what traditions does your family have? My family has a tradition of putting up a Christmas tree on the first day of December every year. Now think about what your answers might be to some of these questions. Now I want you to share what some of your answers were. Pick one question from our previous slide and answer to share with the class. And I will show those again so that we can pick our question. Yes.
What holidays do I celebrate? I celebrate Dia de los Muertos, el Día del Niño, and Christmas because those two first holidays are Mexican holidays, and my parents are from Mexico.
That is an amazing example. I love how you showed both Mexican culture and what could be considered American culture. That was a great example of both. Is there anything else you would like to tell the class about your culture?
Yeah, I can answer another one. So I also, my parents, they actually do celebrate and eat both foods from America and Mexico to this day. So some foods that we eat are pozole or pizza. It kind of depends on what we're feeling.
Again, that's a perfect example about how we can often share traditions and things in common with multiple cultures. So it is possible to be a part of two cultures at the same time, or multiple, even though I would say my culture is more Western, such as American or English. I eat foods that are from different cultures, such as Japanese. We are all a part of a culture, and we often share things from other cultures in our daily lives.
So now going over the answers from our previous worksheet, we will see which cognates correlate to which cognate in Spanish. So the first answer is history matches with historia. The second one, family matches with familia. The third one, independence matches with independencia. The fourth one, desert matches with desierto. And the final one, map, matches with mapa.
Our final activity is to compare and contrast those cognates with our culture. So I want you to choose a cognate pair from the list. and think about the similarities and differences in the words and their meanings. What is similar about the cognates when thinking about people's culture? So, for example, if I chose history, what is similar in history for two different cultures? Would anyone like to share?
I can share.
Perfect.
For history, each culture has their own histories that they celebrate. For example, here in America, we celebrate the 4th of July, and it is to celebrate the American independence. And then in Mexico, we celebrate Mexican independence in September. That shows that we're celebrating histories from two completely different cultures, but each culture has their own history.
That's an amazing example. Perfect. Thank you. And that completes our lesson.
Thank you.
Thank you.